Okay, so Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Today is lecture number 9 of the course Irrigation Engineering. In today's lecture, we will continue our discussion from the diversion headworks. So we will study about the components of a barrage, and then we will start with the theories of seepage. So barrage, as we already defined in the previous lecture, if most of the ponding is done by gates and a smaller or nil part of it is done by the raised crust, then the barrier is known as a barrage or a river regulator. You can see here in this figure, when we have barrage with a small raised crust or we have barrage without any raised crust here, ponding is done by the crust here, but you can see that major part of the ponding that is done by the gate. So in this case P1, that is ponding done by the crust, it is much less than the ponding that is done by the gate. So this is in case of barrage. If you see in this second figure here, there is no raised crust, so the ponding due to crust, that is 0, and you can see that the total ponding that is done by the gate. So this is the basic difference between the weir and the barrage, that in case of weir, most of the ponding that is done by the raised crust. So if we have a weir, so then in that case you see that most of the ponding that will be done by the gate crust, and nil or small part of ponding that will be done by the gate, or we call it as shutter. Or we can have a weir without a shutter. So this is the basic difference between the weir and the barrage, that in case of barrage most of the ponding is done by gates and smaller or nil part of it is done by the raised crust. A barrage is a diversion structure across a river fitted with a series of gates over its entire length for creating the required ponding. So basically barrage is a diversion structure that is put across the river fitted with a series of gates over its entire length for creating the required ponding. A barrage is a type of low head diversion dam which consists of a number of large gates. So it is a low head diversion dam, as we already learned, consists of a number of large gates that can be opened or closed to control the amount of water passing through. This allows the structure to regulate and stabilize river water elevation upstream for use in irrigation and other systems. So the gates which are fitted, these can be opened and closed to control the amount of water passing through. Because the ponding is done by the gates, so that's why these can be opened and closed to control the amount of water. So this allows the barrage to regulate and stabilize the river water elevation upstream. So as we already studied in the previous lecture that diversion headwork, we raise the water level so as to divert the water into the off-taking canals for irrigation and other purposes, because the same water not only for agriculture but can be supplied for other purposes such as domestic and industrial water supply. So the main difference between a weir and a barrage is of gates. That is, the flow in barrage is regulated by gates, and that in weirs by its crust. Barrages are costlier than weirs. So barrages, as we already studied in the previous lecture, many advantages. So these are costlier than weirs. When we construct a weir and we construct a barrage, so barrage air is more costly. But no doubt barrage has more advantages over the weir, and that is why barrages are constructed nowadays. So in this figure you can see here that this is a barrage. You see that the section of the barrage is divided by means of the piers with gates, and in here you can see that we have a weir which is used to raise the water level upstream, and the water flows over the crust of the weir. So you can clearly see that in case of the barrages, most of the ponding that is done by these gates here. But you can see here that in case of weir, so that is by its crust. So this is the main difference between the weir and a barrage. So in barrage you can see that by operation of the gates we can have better control over the flow of water. So that's the reason why barrages are constructed nowadays on all important rivers. So a barrage serves the following purposes. It diverts the required quantity of water from the river to the channels, that is the off-taking canals. It raises the level of supply so that water can reach the area proposed for irrigation by gravity. So the water level is raised to increase the head of water, and then the water is diverted in the canal and the water flows due to gravity. It allows proper silt control. So as we studied in the previous lecture that in diversion headworks we have silt control measures such as silt excluder and silt ejector. So with the help of that, these barrages, they allows for proper silt control, and relatively silt free water is diverted into the canal. It provides permanent headworks for the canals in order to protect them during floods by providing for complete closure. So because these weirs and barrages, diversion headworks, these are permanent structures. So these provide permanent headworks for the canals and protect them during the floods, because during the floods the barrage gates can be open and the flood water can be passed through clear. And by providing complete closure, for example in the canal, so we have canal head regulator that can be closed and just open the gates of the barrage and let the flood water pass through. Similarly, it provides better regulation than a weir. So as we saw in the previous slide here, that in case of barrage we have these gates where the ponding is done. So by opening and closing these gates we can have better control over the water. But you see here that in case of weir, so the water will store up to the top of the weir and then the water will overflow. So you can see that comparatively as compared to the weir, we have better control in the barrage. So this is the advantage of barrage over the weir. So these different purposes are more or less similar to what studied for the purposes studied by the diversion headworks in the previous lecture, but we repeated here for the barrage because barrage, this is the type of diversion structure these are constructed nowadays. Clear? Because of the advantages that barrage has over the weir. You can see here that it provides better regulation than a weir. Similarly, you see the other advantage is that in case of weir, if there is sedimentation, so removal of sediment is not that easy. But in case of barrages, we can open the gates and the sediment accumulated at the bottom, it can be flushed with the water downstream. Similarly, on top of the barrage, we can construct a roadway with little additional cost. But you can see here that in case of weir, then it is more costly. Clear? Because you can see here that in case of barrages, we already divide this length into different bays by means of the piers, and it is very easy to construct the road on top with little additional cost. But you can see weir, so in that case it will be more cost as compared to the barrage, because let's say this weir is without these piers. So if you want to construct a road, so then comparatively you see that it will be more costly as compared to the barrage. So because of these advantages, that is why we prefer construction of barrages over weirs nowadays. So we have these different headworks in Pakistan: Islam headworks, Balochi headworks, Suleimanki headworks. Next we discuss components of a barrage. So the following are the components of a barrage. This is now a figure. In the previous lecture we had similar figure with similar features, but there actually a weir was shown. Now in this case we have a barrage section. This is the section of a barrage with all the necessary components shown in this figure. So the components of barrage includes the main barrage portion. It has the sheet piles, we will discuss now in detail. Inverted filter, these are protection works. Flexible apron, under sluices, divide wall, fish ladder, canal head regulator. You can see here that we have canal. So to control the flow, we have this canal head regulator. Silt regulation works, as we already discussed in the previous lecture in details, to control the flow of silt into the off-taking canal. And the river training works, that includes these guide banks, marginal bunds, groins, spurs, dikes, etc. So you see that these components of the barrage that we already discussed in detail in the previous lecture. So the detail of these components is same as in the previous lecture. So I will mainly now focus on these components here. We need to study them so that we get the idea about these remaining components, and we understand why we provide these sheet piles, the inverted filter, the flexible apron. These are basically protection works, because the diversion head works, this is for all hydraulic structures, can be dams also. We will study later on dams in detail, for weirs, barrages. Even you can see this canal head regulator. So for this purpose we provide these protection works. Clear? This inverted filter, flexible apron. So let us study in detail what are these components, what is their functions, and then we study about the theories of seepage, because these structures are constructed most of the time on permeable foundations. So when we have permeable foundation, it will allow the seepage of water. So when seepage of water takes place, then there are forces acting on the structure. So the structure must be safe against these forces. So in order to increase the stability of the structure, these components are provided. So let us study in detail what are these components, their functions, and later on when we study about the causes of failures of weirs and barrages on permeable foundation, so we understand the importance of these components. So you can see here that this figure shows the different components of a barrage. This is the section taken here. You see that if I take a section here at this point in the figure, if I take a section, so this is what you see here. This is the section taken. Now in this section you can see the different components of the, or component parts of a barrage. So you can see that we have the upstream side. So this is the upstream side. It means that this is the direction of flow of water, and this is the downstream side. So that's why you see the upstream with the different names of the components or component parts. So you can see here that we have this crust here. This is the crust. On the crust above you see that the gates or shutters, they rest. We have this pair that appears as you saw in the figure. So this is in the section how the pair appears. You can see here that these different pairs that you can see in the figure here. This is the pair, this is another pair. So this is what you see in this figure here. Clear? The pair. Then we have the upstream glacis. So glacis is a gently sloping surface here. This is glacis. Then we have this impervious floor, upstream impervious floor. This is the block protection. So these are protection works against the erosion. The launching apron, again a protection work, and these serves against the uplift pressure and the scouring that can happen because we have constructed this structure on alluvial soil, permeable foundations. Then we come to the downstream side. So you can see the downstream glacis here. This is the gentle slope 4:1. Then we have the impact blocks. These are also known as the baffle blocks. And the idea here is that you can see the hydraulic jump forms here as the water flows downstream. So the hydraulic jump will form the downstream, and if you remember from the hydraulics course, we studied that hydraulic jumps are desirable downstream of the hydraulic structures for dissipation of energy, because if we do not have this hydraulic jump, this fast moving water, it will erode the surface downstream and it can pose a threat to the hydraulic structures. If you remember, we studied this, and for that purpose these baffle blocks are provided. We have this impervious floor that is provided here to contain this hydraulic jump, because if this hydraulic jump occurs on the pervious river bed, then what will happen? It will erode the material, it will cause the scouring, and that scouring can result in posing threat to the foundation of the structure. If you remember, we studied about the stilling basins. So that's why you see that on the downstream side we have this hydraulic jump has to form, and to dissipate the energy, hydraulic jump dissipates the energy, but hydraulic jump itself creates turbulence. So this hydraulic jump has to be contained on this impervious flow. So that's why you see that these impact blocks are provided. Then this portion here, which you can see here, the downstream impervious floor. Then we have again the block protection, but as compared to the upstream, you see that this is known as the inverted filter. We will discuss in detail what is the purpose of this inverted filter. These are basically protection works. And similarly, we have the launching apron. This is nothing but it is just loose boulders or stones that are placed in this to protect the structure against the scouring. So you see that we have these protection works upstream side as well as on the downstream side. Now you can see here that these upstream cutoff walls are provided. This is the toe wall, and similarly we have downstream toe wall, and we have the downstream cutoff wall. These are connected with the sheet piles, and the sheet piles basically again protection works. We will study now these components in detail. So these help in reducing the uplift pressure on the hydraulic structure. So these protection works we have to provide in order to protect the structure, and these protection works keep the structure safe against the uplift pressure and the seepage forces. Similarly, you can see here that on top of this pier of the barrage, we can have a railway or we can have a road. Similarly, you see that for the pier deep foundation that is provided, this is to increase the stability of the structure. So we start with the main barrage portion. This is the main body of the barrage, normally of RCC, reinforced cement concrete slabs, which support the steel gates. You can see here that this portion, all this portion that you see in this figure here, the upstream impervious floor, the glacis, the crust, the downstream glacis, and here this is all impervious. So this is made of concrete, clear, normally of RCC slabs which support the steel gates. In cross section, it consists of upstream concrete floor. Why? It is provided to lengthen the path of seepage and to protect the middle portion where the piers, gates and the bridge are located. So you can see that when we construct these weirs or barrages, so we provide this impervious floor. Let us have a simplified structure here. So the idea is that to lengthen the seepage path. You see here it is written, lengthen the path of the seepage. Because it is constructed on impervious foundation, pervious foundation, so seepage will take place. So what will happen is that you can see that the seepage path is lengthened. The water can only enter here into the soil, and then it can travel below this structure, and then it can appear here. And why the water can travel here? There is a reason. Because there is a head difference between the upstream and the downstream, so the water will travel from high potential to the low potential. So this is pervious foundation, clear? This here, the soil, that is pervious, so the water will travel. Seepage will take place. This is seepage. So this impervious floors are provided upstream and downstream to increase the seepage path. Because if we do not have, let's say this is the situation and you just provide here is the body, so what will happen? The water can seep here and it can appear here. So in this case, the danger to the structure will be more as compared to here. We will study the theories of seepage, so there you will understand. So the upstream concrete floor, what is the main purpose? To lengthen the path of seepage and to protect the middle portion where the piers, gates and bridge are located. So you see that because of this here, what is happening is that this seepage of water will create the uplift pressure, clear? So the uplift pressure, how it will act, assuming there is no water on the downstream, and here this is H. So this will be the diagram here, and this will be that H, P by gamma. And if we have water here, then there will be ordinate here. If no water, then it will reduce to 0 here. So that's why this main barrage portion is very important. It has to resist these forces. So that's why you see that it is written here, the upstream concrete floor to lengthen the path of seepage and to protect the middle portion where the piers, gates and bridges are located. A crust at the required height above the floor on which the gates rest in their closed position. So you can see here this crust here. So the shutters or gates, they rest on this crust here. Upstream glacis, the sloping side on the upstream side here. This is the upstream glacis. Having the necessary slope to join the upstream floor level. to the highest point, that is the crust. Similarly, we have the downstream glaciers of suitable shape and slope. This joins the crust to the downstream floor level, which may be at river bed level or below. So as I already explained, the hydraulic jump forms on the glacis. You can see here that this is the glacis here. The hydraulic jump will form on this glacis, and we have this downstream impervious floor. We have these baffle blocks to contain the hydraulic jump, so that the water with more depth and less velocity flows on the river downstream without causing damage, or at least reducing the damage of scouring. The downstream floor is built of concrete and is constructed so as to contain the hydraulic jump, as you already saw in the figure. Thus, it takes care of turbulence which would otherwise cause erosion. It is also provided with friction blocks that you saw in the figure of suitable shape and at distances determined by hydraulic model experiments in order to increase the friction and destroy the residual kinetic energy. So these baffle blocks and the downstream floor is basically designed. Clear, we studied about the stilling basins, if you remember from hydraulics course. 10 types of stilling basin designed by the USBR, United States Bureau of Reclamation. So this is what is mentioned here, that these are properly designed so as to contain the hydraulic jump and protect the downstream river bed and the structure itself against the scouring and erosion. So you can see that when the water flows downstream from the gates, this hydraulic jumps form and it dissipates the energy of fast moving water. So hydraulic jump is desirable, but hydraulic jump itself can be dangerous because of the turbulence. So that's why this hydraulic jump has to be contained downstream on this area here. Next, we discuss about the inverted filter. You can see here in this figure, this is the inverted filter that is provided on the downstream. Inverted filter. It is a filter but inverted filter. So this is basically protection work. So let us discuss what is inverted filter. An inverted filter is provided between the downstream sheet piles. You can see here we have these downstream sheet piles. These are the downstream sheet piles. And the flexible protection, that is the apron here, launching apron. So it is provided between here, the sheet piles and the apron. It typically consists of 6 inches of sand, 9 inches of coarse sand, and 9 inches of gravel. You can see that we have sand, then coarse sand, then we have gravel. The filter material may vary with the size of the particles forming river bed. So everything, these components, you see, they are properly designed. It is protected by placing concrete blocks of sufficient weight and size over it. This is the section of the concrete. You see here the blocks which are placed on top. with inverted filter. So we have sand 6-inch, then we have coarse sand 6-inch, and we have gravel 6-inch. Now what is the purpose of this inverted filter? As I said, that this provides protection. So protection against what? You might have studied, in case of hydraulic structures, the seepage that occurs, that take place, this is any hydraulic structure, can be dam, can be weir barrage. So what happens is that when it is constructed on pervious foundation, seepage of water will take place. So the water will seep below and it will travel and it will appear here. So this is basically nothing but it is a streamline, and this will continue like this. So you might have studied the concept of flow net in geotechnical engineering. So these are the flow lines. Now the water flows and this water appears at upstream. Now at this point here, the hydraulic gradient should be safe. The hydraulic gradient, clear, this is H, and if we have the length of the water seeps below this here, so hydraulic gradient, that is H by L. This should be within safe limits. If it exceeds a critical value, what will happen, that this water will take the soil particles along. So when the soil particles are taken along, and this process will then continue upstream, and along this streamline the soil particles will be taken slowly and gradually along with the water, because the water will exert a seepage force. So as a result of this, a pipe or channel will form because of the removal of the material, and this is known as piping. This is known as piping or undermining. And what will be the issue with this piping? That as a result of this piping, the failure can take place, because then there will be settlement. You remove the soil below the foundation, what will happen? There will be settlement here, so it will pose threat to the stability of the structure. So what we want here is that we do not want to allow the soil particle to escape along with the water. So for this purpose, this inverted filter is provided. You see here that it has increasing permeability from bottom to top. You see that in this case the water flows. So you see we have sand, then coarse sand, then gravel. So basically what we have here is that we provide this for increasing permeability. Increasing permeability from, this is important, from bottom to top. From bottom to top. So what will happen is that the soil particle cannot move up. So the water will move because we have increasing permeability from bottom to top. This is how this inverted filter is provided for protection. So increasing permeability from bottom to top, so that only the water can escape and not allow the soil particle to travel, because there will be soil here. So this soil cannot travel up. Only the water is allowed to escape. So its primary function is to check the escape of fine soil particles in the seepage water. This is what I already explained. So for this purpose, this inverted filter is provided here, so that soil particles are not allowed to escape and only the water is allowed to escape. In the case of scour, it provides adequate cover for the downstream sheet piles against the steepening of exit gradient. So the gradient, this is the hydraulic gradient at the exit point. This is the exit gradient. And this gradient must be less than the critical gradient for safety against this piping failure. We study this in detail in the coming slides. So you can see that in case of scouring, it is also providing the protection here. You see that this is the sheet pile, as you saw in the previous figure here. This is the sheet pile here. So you see that this inverted filter as well as this apron, they provide protection against the scouring also. So this is what it says, that in case of scour, it provides adequate cover for the downstream sheet piles against the steepening of exit gradient. Next, we discuss the sheet piles. You can see here that we have a sheet pile here. This is the sheet pile upstream side, and we have sheet pile here and sheet pile here on the downstream side. So these are generally 3 or 4 sheet piles. These are in the form of sheets. You see, if you see the lengthwise, these will be in the form of sheets, and it will continue for the length of the weir or barrage. That's why sheet piles. It's not that it is like a circular column. It is sheet pile in the form of sheet. So these are generally 3 or 4 sheet piles. These are made of mild steel, each portion being with sufficient width and in thickness of the required length and having grooves to link with the other sheet piles. So these sheet piles, 3 or 4, made of mild steel. We also have sheet piles of concrete also. These sheet piles that are provided again for protection purposes. From the function point of view in a weir or barrage, these are classified into 3 types. We have upstream sheet piles, intermediate sheet piles, and downstream sheet piles. You can see the upstream. This is the first one, so the upstream. Then we can have the intermediate in between, and we have the downstream sheet piles. So upstream sheet piles, these are located at the upstream end of the upstream concrete floor. Upstream end of the upstream concrete floor. So this is the upstream end of the upstream floor. These piles are driven into the soil beyond the maximum possible scour that may occur. So you can see here that if there is a scouring, there will be removal of material if there is a scouring take place. So the maximum possible scour that will take place, it should be driven below that, so that still it provides stability to the structure itself. So you can see that these are protection works. Their functions are to protect the barrage structure from scour, to reduce the uplift pressure in the barrage flow. You can see that when a hydraulic structure is constructed, this is, let's say, the floor foundation of this structure. We have this water here. So in case, this will be the uplift pressure. Clear? And it will act here. Now when a sheet pile is provided, it will help reduce this here. If I have a sheet pile here, then what will happen is that because of this sheet pile, what will happen that this pressure, it will be reduced. Just upstream of the pile, it will be this pressure here. But because of this, it will be reducing, and then from here, this will be the situation. So you can see that because of the sheet pile, the pressure is reduced. Intermediate sheet piles. So these are situated at the end of upstream and downstream glacis and serve as a second line of defense. So we have this upstream, and we can have downstream sheet pile, and we can have in between. So this will be the upstream sheet pile. This will be the downstream sheet pile in a very simplified sketch, and this will be the intermediate. So this is what we talk about intermediate sheet piles. They serve as a second line of defense in case of the upstream or downstream sheet piles collapse due to advancing cover or undermining. Undermining is that piping that I already explained here in the previous slide, that I tried to explain the piping. This piping, this is also known as undermining. So these intermediate sheet piles act as second line of defense, and in case of the upstream or downstream sheet piles collapse due to advancing cover or undermining, then these sheet piles give protection to the main structure of the barrage. The intermediate sheet piles also help to lengthen the seepage path and reduce the uplift pressure, just like I show you in this diagram here. So because of the intermediate path, what will happen is that it will further reduce. Clear? And then from here onward, it will be the uplift pressure distribution at this point because of the sheet pile. So it helped to lengthen the seepage path, because when the seepage path is more, so the head loss will increase. And you see here in this figure, if I go back, we want to increase this seepage path as much as possible, because if the seepage path is increased, then what will happen that the exit gradient that will be on the safe side, because you see the water starts with maximum energy here at this point, and then as it travels it loses the energy, loses the energy, loses the energy. So we want that its energy at the exit point should be 0, so that it does not take away the soil particles along. So this is what we study in detail later on in these, but here to explain the purposes of these sheet piles, these are provided for protection purposes, to help lengthen the seepage path. Because you see that in the normal situation, if we do not have, what will happen, then the water, it will travel like this. But in case of these piles, what will happen, that now the water, it will travel like this. So you can see how the seepage path, it is increased. So this is what is written here. It helps to lengthen the seepage path and reduces the uplift pressure. And we have the downstream piles. So these are placed at the end of the downstream concrete floor, and their main function is to check the exit gradient. This I already explained. So at the exit point, the hydraulic gradient should be well below the critical value. And the value of these gradients, of course, will depend on the type of soils. We do not have the same soil, and we can calculate these gradients. So the downstream piles function is to check the exit gradient so that it does not exceed the critical value. So their depth should be greater than the maximum possible cover. This I already explained. Shutters or gates. So you can see here that in the barrages, we have these gates are provided that can be used to control the flow of water, to raise the water level. So the gates or shutters are made of steel plates welded on the fabricated steel framework. You can see the steel framework. Their function is to maintain the pond level, because in case of barrage, the maximum ponding that is achieved through these gates. And to raise the water level during low supplies. You see that when the water level in the river is low, then only the available head can be diverted into the canal. But with the help of these gates, we can raise the water level so that we can maintain the constant supply into the canals. So during low supplies, you see, raise the water level so that we can maintain the constant supply in the canals. Because if we do not have this portion of the barrage, and we have canal that is taking water from the river, so when the water level is very low, canal will withdraw only the water above the bottom. So with the help of these gates, the water level is raised, and then the required quantity is diverted into the canals. That's why diversion head works. And we have the launching apron. So you can see here that we have this launching apron here, a downstream as well as on the upstream, and the idea is to provide protection against the scouring. So these are nothing but these are loose rocks or boulders. I explain why these are loosely placed. So we have upstream launching apron. It is constructed with boulders or stones arranged in layers without any joint. There is no joint, just loose rocks that are placed here. Clear? It protects the impervious floor and sheet piles from the scour holes which may develop. So what will happen in case of the scour holes? If let me go to the downstream. If let's say the soil is removed from here, so what will happen that these rocks are loose. Now their weight should be sufficient that these are not carried by the flowing water. So these rocks will settle here, and as a result of their settlement, it will protect the structure from further scouring. This is what is written here, that it protects the impervious floor and sheet piles from the scour holes which may develop. This I will explain in detail. Then we have the downstream launching apron that I already talked about here. Same purpose. So it is constructed with loosely packed boulders or stones. It covers completely the zone of exit gradient. This I already explained, that where the water will come out, that area we have to provide for certain length so that the water does not take the soil along from this area, because this covering will take place and ultimately it will pose a threat to the structure. So this apron protects the barrage wear from the effects of piping or undermining which may occur due to seepage. So this I already explained. Now let us come to little detail about this launching apron. You see that these loose rocks which are placed here without joints, their weight should be sufficient that these are not taken by the flowing water, because you see that this is the downstream side and the water is flowing. Now what will happen is that erosion will take place. Because this is a natural river, we have alluvial soils. So this cover will continue and it will remove the soil gradually from here, all this area. Once the covering starts, so you see that this removal, this is the maximum possible cover that can occur for the given conditions that we can calculate. We can determine how much cover will occur. That is given by the Lacey theory that we already studied for the design of unlined canals. In that same Lacey theory, it also gives the equation for the cover depth, so that we can calculate. I will also explain here. So what will happen is that when this covering takes place, this material will be removed, and when this material is removed, this will continue. And let's say we have the toe wall and we have the sheet pile here. If I go back to the figure and continue, this is the inverted filter and you have the sheet pile here. So this will continue. Let's say we have this sheet pile here, just let's say an example. So this covering will then continue, you see, and it is posing threat to the protection works. That's why you see these protection works are provided, and ultimately it will come to these sheet piles and pose threat. So what this launching apron will do, when we have this covering, that this will take this position after the covering takes place. This is its original position where we provide the launching apron. It is in the launching. So in case of covering, the material is removed, it will take this shape here. This will be its final position. So this is what we call it as launched apron. This will be known as launched because it is launched. So this is the launched position. This will be then known as launched apron. And this, at this stage, this is known as the launching apron. So in case of covering, then it will take this position here. So it will be then known as launched apron. So this stones, it will take this position, so it will, no covering of material here will take place, because now we provide this protection which was initially provided here, now it has launched. So by water, no covering will take place, and you see that we provide stability to the structure here. So this will become the launched apron. In case of covering, it has to take this position here. Now let us discuss little bit. You see, these are properly designed. Let us discuss some design features of this. And this is not only in case here. You see that these flexible aprons, they are provided in case of hydraulic structure, but you see, when we have beaches, on the beaches you might have seen loosed blocks or stones are placed. If you have visited beaches, you will see loosed big size stones are placed there, just loose, or concrete blocks are placed there. What is the purpose there? The same purpose like here shown. When the soil will be removed, these blocks will take the position and it will protect the coast or the shoreline from further covering. So after covering has taken place at this point, it will be launched and it will protect the soil from here from further covering. So same like you saw on the beaches, that loose blocks or stones are there. It will protect, because when some covering takes place, they will take the position and prevent further covering. Now let us discuss some mathematics of this. So I go to this little detail because you see that irrigation is very practical course, and we should know about the details and functions of these components. Now the question is that we have to properly design it to achieve now this purpose, that when it will be launched, its slope should be 2 to 1. How we will ensure this? And its length should be square root of 5d. Because when the slope is 2 to 1, so you can see here we have this dimension, that is a d, and 2 to 1 means 2 horizontal to 1 vertical. So by Pythagoras theorem, this side here, it will be then square root of 5 times a d. To ensure this, we have to provide sufficient thickness here so that when it is launched, still some minimum thickness is achieved. And the code requirement says that it should be 1 meter. After it is launched, the thickness of this launched apron should be 1 meter. So how we ensure this? if this material here, after launching, the same material will be here, and we get the slope 2 to 1 with the 1 meter thickness. So how we do it, let me just briefly discuss. So as I said, the Lacey theory, it gives to calculate this maximum cover from the water surface to the maximum cover that can take place in the river bed. We studied the Lacey theory. The Lacey theory also has given this equation for the cover depth. This is in SI systems. We can have equation in the MKS system, FPS system. This is in the SI system of units, MKS system. So in this case, this R is measured from the high flood level, downstream high flood level. Now in this equation, F is same as Lacey silt factor, which is calculated by this equation, where D is the average size, D50, that is in millimeter. And this Q is the discharge per unit width, cubic per meter. And this equation in FPS system, then I think here it will be 0.9. But 1.35 into this is in MKS system, cubic per meter, discharge per unit width. So we can calculate this R. Now when we calculate this R, you see that it is multiplied with certain factor X. This X depends on the conditions. For example, there's the situation here, we have a straight portion, the water flows in a straight portion, we have bend, etc. or not. So 4 different categories are given in the irrigation books for this X range that we need to multiply with R. That will give us the maximum possible depth from the water surface. And if we know the water depth, which is Y, we can subtract from XR this water depth. We will get the depth of this cover from the top of the apron to this level here. So that is why this D is equal to XR minus Y, where Y is the water depth. So this is the maximum possible cover depth below the floor level. This we can calculate. So X ranges from 1.25 to 2. This is for 4 different categories, straight portion, bends, and other categories. If you are interested, you can read in the book. So it ranges from 1.25 to 2. This factor is multiplied here. R is coming from this equation. Y is the depth of water above the apron. And D, this is how we calculate. D is equal to this XR minus Y. And Y is what? Y is just the difference of high flood level minus the floor level. Now in this case, you see that the material here must be the same as this material. This is how covering takes place, and this launching apron will become launched apron. So it means that what is the thickness required here, that is written here, should be 1.5 T if we are looking for 1 meter thickness here in the launched position. So you see that the volume here, what is the volume here? So you can see that this is 1.5 times D. So we have 1.5 times D into thickness. Let's say I don't know this thickness. So this is T. Multiply by unit width. Because we talk here about the discharge per unit width from this equation. So this is the volume. This length into unit width. So this is the volume here at the launching apron. This must be the same as the volume here. So in this case, what is this side length, which is given square root of 5d? So this will be equal to 2.25 square root of 5, that is 2.25, or you can write down square root of d. So we have this length here, which is square root of 5d, which is written here. So this length is under root d, and the thickness we want to be 1 meter as required by the code. That in the launched position it should be 1 meter. So it is 1. So this length by this length here, the thickness, it is 1. And for the unit width here, so this is 1 meter. Multiply by 1. So now you can see this d and d cancel out, and when you calculate 2.25 divided by 1.5, so this is 1.5. This is what it is written, approximately 1.5 t. So this is how you see that the volume here should be the same as the volume here. So I try to explain this because you need to know the understanding about here, this launching apron. So you can see that these are basically the protection works. Now we have the other components. You see the under sluices, we have the divide wall, fish ladder, canal head regulator, silt regulation works, river training works. So these we already studied in the previous lecture. So details of the above components are same as covered in the previous lecture. Now you can see a small video about the barrages in Pakistan to highlight the importance of this topic. You see, this is Marala Headworks. This is situated on River Chenab near Sialkot. You can see the piers of the barrage. The upstream side. The hydraulic jump dissipates the energy. You can see that the barrage is divided into different bays with the piers. These are the off-taking canals. This is canal head regulator. You can see the downstream side and the upstream raise of water level. You can see the road on top of it that is constructed. This is Tonsa barrage. You can see the road on top. कौन सा बैराज? So these are the canals, off-taking canals. And we have this Kotri barrage, that is in Sindh. You see the off-taking canal.